Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you know what that music means?
What?
That means I did all the things. The show's getting ready to start.
Getting ready?
Yeah. It's starting. It's already started.
Oh, okay.
We're live.
I'm a fanboy right now.
You're a fanboy?
Yeah, we have one of our favorite people with us.
Oh my God, look who we have on the show today, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one and only the professor. He is the inventor of AI 8-Ball. You know him, you love him.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Joining us via satellite connection. He is currently in Siberia. Doing some, you know the big vault thing that they have?
The seed vault?
Yeah, the seeds.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
He's actually ahead. He's in charge of the seed bank.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Seeds
and
are important.
He's actually in charge of security there.
Uh-huh.
If you were to say break into the seed bank, that is the first line of defense. You will see the professor there waiting.
Don't even try. He will take you down.
Yeah. So, Professor, so can you hear us? I know it's all the way in Siberia and the weather's tough, but how are you doing?
I have you coming in. Euclid,
yes.
Oats. Thanks for having me.
Oats.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Mm-hmm. Oatmeal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's it like living up there in the middle of nowhere? It's just you and the seeds.
I'd say cold, but a lot of sunshine. So, really, you want to be south-facing. Open up your guttural region, let the sun come in, warm you up, you'll be all right.
I feel it. What is your favorite seed?
My favorite seed is the jujuberry.
Oh, my favorite too.
Jujuberry?
Yeah, jujuberry.
Is that anything like juju beans?
It's actually a derivative of a gooseberry.
Oh, okay.
I like to play with Yuki's gooseberries.
Oh, hold on a second. Oh my! Wow, this is a morning show.
Oh, my bad.
And there might be children listening,
right,
so if you could refrain from referring to my gooseberries, that would be great.
I can't. They're always on my mind.
Yuki, hit me with that link. I want to see y'all.
Oh,
yeah, me too.
I should have added you. Let's see.
That's what I said.
Let me.
You never listen.
Where do I send it to you at?
Just DM us.
Huh?
DM us or
okay.
something.
It should be. Let's see. There it is. I'm gonna copy it. Boom, boom, boom. So you invented AI 8-Ball. Is that true? I know you're really busy up there in the seed bank. Protecting the seeds, but you seem to have had time to invent a very interesting. I don't know what you call it. What would you call that? AI. What does it do?
Let me pull up your images here, and then I can answer your question. Technical work. We are on a satellite phone currently, but I think we can get it all working.
Yeah.
I'll play guitar while you do that.
Did you send me a link?
Huh?
You didn't see. Did you send me a link too?
No.
No, you did not. I know who's important to you right now. I see.
What is my?
Oh, we are live, baby. All right, I'm back. You guys with me?
Okay.
We're
yeah,
here.
I'm here.
We're here.
So AI 8-Ball.
Yeah,
really a passion project of mine. I'm fascinated by this interplay between humans and technology. And there's kind of a back and forth loop where, we came up with technology, we came up with computers, we came up with the ability to automate activities. And one of the first things we did was try to interact with humans and try to replicate human behavior. So that's step one, but step two, the humans react because we always react to whatever input we're given. I always think of the classic example of the hand blow dryer, or let's say the soap machine in a airport bathroom. You're supposed to put your hand underneath there and the soap comes out. And really that's designed to mimic human behavior in that you naturally put your hands where the water is, where the soap is, the soap comes out, you get the soap. But it doesn't work that way because the technology we build isn't perfect, it isn't sentient in that manner. So really what the humans end up doing is you wave your hand under the soap dispenser like that, and at this point what you're doing is you're pretending to be a human to this machine that's looking for natural human behavior. So we have this odd cycle of humans emulating humans in the way that technology and machines would want us to be. So that's actually another product of mine, is a bracelet that you can wear that emits infrared rays. So when you go to one of these bathrooms with the sink or the soap, you come near it and it triggers that automatically. So the soap just comes out, so you don't have to pretend to be a human. You can just identify as a human.
Oh, damn. What?
I think
you just blew Yuki's mind.
No, there's a lot going on in this cuckoo brain of mine. So, first of all, let's talk about the fact that you're wanting to strap electronical devices, RFID bracelets and things to us, therefore we can interact with machines. Why not just go ahead and let's just implant something into ourselves? Why not do that? What's wrong with, because it's inconvenient wearing I bought a Fitbit, right? And it's annoying because I've got to charge the Fitbit and I've got to
oh my God.
It could get like, I don't want to get it muddy. Okay.
Muddy?
when I'm doing my mud run.
What?
But so my solution is, why not just go ahead and implant the thing under the skin? But then you'll be like, well, how do you charge it? How do you charge the thing? You know what I mean? But my question is this: if we were to develop, and I know this is happening already, super long-lasting batteries that say, like pacemakers, for instance, have super long-lasting batteries. Why not go ahead and just implant the technology into ourselves?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And really, actually, the technical limitation isn't that troubling, because you would be able to charge through the skin. Right. Even we have those near field charging technology.
Oh, right.
It's interesting for me. I'm kind of a dual edge on this, in that my profession is deep within technology, research, development, seed rearing, and such. But I'm also a back to the earther, thus trying to preserve the history and the ancient knowledge of human agriculture and these sorts of things. And so I go back and forth. I try to probe the depths of what's possible with technology these days, but also I shield my children from these things. And at home, I try to take a break and avoid these things. We live out on a farm in the Midwest in America when I'm back home. And I spend most of my days, outside. We're building a tree house for the kids right now. We're mapping out the trails where we live. So it's interesting that, yeah. So actually, even though I developed that product, you'll notice I'm not wearing anything like that. I was gifted a Fitbit, but wearing that technology, having it on you, is some line that I feel, is a little bit of a tension for me. So the technology is definitely going to come. People are going to do this. People have already implanted some things, but it'll become more mass market, more mainstream. That's definitely happening in our near future. Personally, yeah, it's interesting. I'm also pulling back. I think I view electronic technology, computer technology, as just one of the technologies of man, and there are many technologies stretching back 2,000 years, 10,000 years. And I do find that in my personal life, I'm drawn to the more ancient technologies. I was just reflecting with my son. We built a fire. We have a wood stove at our place, and we built a fire. He's now learned how to build the little log cabin with the kindling, put the newspaper in the middle to build it up. And I like to watch it right when the fire goes. And I always tell him this is my favorite part. Yeah. And he says, "Why is this your favorite part, Papa?" And I say, because I feel that connection to our ancestors, which I had to explain to him what ancestors are, but I think you guys know. Yeah. And further back, and all the way back before there were houses, before there were cars, before there was central heating, the magic of that wood, that it is both light and heat, that it keeps us warm from the cold, from the elements, from the cruel aspects of nature. It can scare away lion, wolves, these sorts predators. Of things. Mm-hmm. And how beautiful the trees that grow outside are this mirror image in the ecosystem of it. We breathe out carbon dioxide. They breathe in carbon dioxide. They breathe out oxygen. They capture the sun, put it in a form that we can easily carry around and light, and it sustains for a long time. And really it's captured that sunlight that then again, when we burn it, brings us sunlight back, brings us the heat of sunlight during the nighttime. And I feel a connection to that. And really, I would call that another technology. I think the control of fire is a human technology, but I do find that I'm drawn to some of those more ancient, more primitive technologies. And I might put it in this realm in that I was deeply influenced by P.F. Schumacher's book, Small is Beautiful. And in that book, I believe the subtitle might be a Buddhist economics, something like this. Okay. But in that book, he proposes the idea of technology on the human scale. So not anti-technology, and just like I said, even fire is technology, but technology on the human scale, in that really a big rig truck isn't really technology on a human scale. And he speaks to the inherent violence of size, in that a vehicle that big, while supremely useful, and much of our economy and our lives run on that, so I can't hate on that, but I would categorize that as not technology on a human scale. And just if you were by that while it was driving by at 60 miles an hour, you could feel how not human scale that is. You could feel the inherent violence of that machine. Whereas instead, things like even so let's say a big tractor, one of the modern, huge $2 million tractors is another one that's not really on human scale. But there are even devices that have a motor, that have electronics in them, that you can walk behind a plow to do a field. And I think the things that make it human scale is, one, it's somewhat in relation to our body, and also there's a relation to be able to fix it, to repair it. He speaks of kind of modern Western culture coming into, say, countries in Africa that aren't as developed, and bringing in these modern technologies, and they get these communities up to speed in a sense. But as soon as the Westerners leave, the machines break and they don't know how to fix them, because again, they're not technology on the human scale. They don't have the ability to interact with them, to upgrade them, to manipulate them. So I'm definitely fascinated with the idea of technology on a human scale. My neighbor offered me a wood splitter, which is a gas-powered hydraulic wood splitter. But I already received a maul from my father-in-law, and it's probably 100 years old, and it's a wedge shape. It has two arms in it that are just metal kind of fingers that as you hit, they split, and there's just a spring on there. So this, I feel I have a connection with that, because it's a human scale object. Actually, it broke the other day. One of the springs popped off, but I have more springs, and I can, with my own hands, repair it, get back out there. And there's a classic phrase: "He who cuts his own firewood warms himself twice." And again, there's that connection, and that skipping the work to cut your firewood isn't necessarily a benefit. You're cutting firewood because you're cold, and so you're missing that pumping of your muscles, of your blood. That's a natural way to warm you up.
I think love that. What keeps reverberating in my brain as you were speaking was this grounding. I feel like as humans, when we start interacting with technology, the technology is so vast, and there's so much overwhelming information and connection that we have, like with social media and things, that we tend to become ungrounded. And I think what's important in life is to get back to nature and where we come from, because we're just we're creatures, okay? And I think that what you're talking about, the splitting wood yourself and sweating and getting out there and
energy twice,
going building a tree house, or so my uncle and I and my cousin built a log cabin in the middle of Mississippi woods.
Yeah,
we're talking deliverance country here, people.
Yeah,
and it was the most amazing thing. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the book Back to Basics. It's a really cool, like, old book.
It's a Reader's Digest book.
Yeah, but it's literally in the book, it's like how to build a log cabin. Okay, it's like one of the many things, and it's like how to do everything to live. And I think that's important, to be able to live, back, our roots. I mean, I'm going all over the place with this.
It reminds me of my grandfather.
Yeah. Well, and
on
here's
the
the
farm.
other thing too. Like, okay, let's just say technology becomes overwhelming, and we've developed AI, which we know is going to happen, and the Terminator thing happens. Okay, it's inevitable. It is going to happen, in my belief. Okay.
Wow.
And then we all have to like scurry around like cockroaches, right? Do you know how to survive without the infrastructure? Can you grow a garden? Can you grow food? Can you keep yourself warm? Do you know how to build a fire? Do you know how to hunt?
Yes.
These are the questions that people need to ask themselves.
Well, it takes me back to my grandfather when he was younger and grew up on a farm and still works on a farm. I think this year he said he's 80, he's turning 85, and he said this year he's not doing a farm anymore. I don't believe it. I think he will, but he used to build things. I mean, he still does. Some of the things he built, some crazy things, but it still involves manual labor. The things he built to make cornmeal and
the whole process of actually the food that you're putting in your mouth, you actually were involved in the entire process.
Yeah.
I'm talking about from the growing of the seeds to the planting them, to the sowing them, to the harvesting, to the processing, and all the work that goes into the woman cooking the food, right? Because we all know that's the.
Just get out of here.
I'm joking.
Yeah. But no, you got, thanks to me, you got to experience all of it. Yeah, exactly. You got to experience all this because I took your ass to the farm.
Right.
And my grandfather put you to work, and I thought you almost died.
Yeah,
like you literally.
I was picking I was getting potatoes out of the ground. I was doing picking green beans.
And we canned them. We spent the whole day there. We shelled peas. We canned green beans.
Extremely difficult.
I mean, canning them in the farm kitchen.
But
it's amazing. It's fulfilling. When you do something like that, you're like, holy shit, look at all the shit I just did versus just, tweeting all day or something. You get a lot of shit done.
So here's the problem, and here's what I'm facing. Okay.
Hit me, Euclid.
Yeah.
I am getting, I'm not getting, I'm completely absorbed with social media. I could literally sit on the couch all day and be perfectly content. Tweeting back and forth gifts to people and be completely engaged and entertained and feeling fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a problem. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people. And I think the lack of getting back to nature is going to be an issue. And that's all I got to say about that.
Oh, well, I think that you do that. I would love to hear what the professor has to say about this, but I think you do that because maybe there's been this long stretch of time where you weren't socially engaged.
Okay, good point.
So I think that it's something you were missing,
That's
and maybe
true.
now you're.
That's true. So I've got 17 months of sobriety now, and when I was just drunk all the time and high on kratom and shit like that. I didn't do the social thing. I never really got into social media actually. And, but once I, got sober, I latched onto it, and I've always said this, it's helping me maintain my sobriety, and, it's a distraction sometimes. And, but I think it's a good thing. It's a yin and yang kind of thing. I know you've got to balance. And I think that maybe that's the point of this episode, perhaps. Just like our little yin yang sign over there is balance. I think we have to balance. You can't forget what the professor was talking about, which is connecting to nature and being able to split your own firewood and knowing what it takes to make a fire and that kind of thing. I think balance is important.
And just for notes, because I lived in a sort of commune situation in my college era. So I got that quote about the warming yourself twice with a firewood. And it was on a little wooden plaque inside, but it was crossed out, and it said, she who cuts her own firewood warms herself twice. So just shout out to the homestead and the correction that they put up there.
I love it. Yes.
Honestly, though, what is this weird balance with, and I don't want to get into that. I made a joke about, and I joke about this all the time, women's places in the kitchen, go make me a sandwich. That's obviously a joke, and I don't believe that. But what is the threat that men have with women and not giving them power? Have you ever thought about that? And let me, before you answer, sorry, Why is a lot of religions, a lot of organized religions, so anti-female? And I'm talking about like Christianity and Muslimism and all that stuff. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Sorry, I'm a hillbilly from Mississippi.
You're not
okay?
a hillbilly. What? There's no hills in Mississippi.
In the north part, there is, honey. Okay. Why is it that the power, and we vilified women by making them witches and things like that? Why? I want to ask you that, Professor. Why are men so intimidated and afraid of women?
Oh.
Well, I can't necessarily say I'm an expert on ancient religions, but I do have a perspective. I think I have a particular modern politics and a particular modern economic bent, and it's definitely the more libertarian style, and as far as economics go, Austrian economic style. And I think there's a lot of overlap within the crypto community of both that politics and economics. But really, some of the theories behind that is that what creates equality, what creates prosperity, what creates peace is wealth. And I think that can speak a lot to our history, and really the history of man, the history of people is war, poverty, starvation, getting eaten by animals. It's rough back there. Mm-hmm. So I think I do place a lot of that at the feet of struggle for survival. Mm-hmm. If you're in a society that's constantly warring, generally I would assume those societies are male dominated, and I think a lot of the raising up to equality of genders, of classes, of all various types of races, of all various types of things, I see a lot of value in prosperity and in wealth. And obviously with the yin and the yang, there's no universal panacea, there's no mass fixing of all things. And so wealth doesn't fix all things, and you can use wealth, as you see that happens in America a lot. There's a lot of depression and things that come, even though we're not physically wanting for food, we have mental issues. So it's not a universal panacea, but I do think, if pressed with the question, I might put a lot of that just in the context of economic development and freedom in general that comes with that.
This is totally something you just said, probably unrelated, but you happen to mention that, with technology, and we don't have to do so many things ourselves, and maybe our lives are a little too easy sometimes. Do you think that we have extra time to just worry about things and fixate on things, and that maybe creates more mental issues?
Good point.
I think definitely. I do think there's something innate in people, probably built over generations of struggle and conquest and exploration, that there is some aspect where we're meant to venture out into chaos, to slay the evil dragon, to bring back the wealth and the freedom for our people. And when we're left, we stagnate. I mean, you see this when people go up into space, their bones decay in only a year, and it's from lack of use. It's from lack of an impact. If you're growing a tree and you restrict it down too much, if you try to put a shield around it or something, but you don't give it the ability to move, it can actually kill the tree. It needs that tension to stay healthy. And I think it's the same way with our minds. They atrophy from lack of activity, from lack of goals, purpose, these sorts of things.
Does that explain, let's talk about like trolls on Twitter, on social media. Does that explain their behavior? Perhaps they are so removed and so stuck in the basement that they want to create this drama, this thing, and not just the trolls, all of us. And maybe that's why we're so content with, having these virtual relationships with these people, these other accounts on Twitter or whatever social media, but does it not perpetuate itself? Does that make sense? That you become dependent on it, and we become dependent on each other's this strange social connection that we have, this virtual connection. Whereas, some of maybe the people in our lives are being neglected. the actual people that we can touch.
Here.
Yeah, one of my personal kind of heroes, gurus, I would say, is Terence McKenna, and he has this set of 4 qualities. His kind of Terence McKenna's 4 commandments. I don't know if I remember them all offhand, but starting off, don't consume is number 1. Don't follow is number 2, which has been a crazy impact in my life, but that's another story. But a third one, don't watch. And that was something he pushed on that really struck me, in that in our modern culture, we seem to have a perverse obsession and acceptance of voyeurism, in that most of our society is people watching other people do things. And I think a lot of this is TV culture and this sort of thing. A modern show out on Netflix right now that's huge is, I think, Tidying Up, and it's about people cleaning up their houses. But this is so fascinating that people wish they would clean up their house, but instead they watch other people clean up their houses. And McKenna's theory is that this kind of perverse voyeurism comes from the mistaken idea that there's too many people on the earth for us all to do something. That basically not everyone can actually do something. There's too many of us for that. Right. But he would disagree, and I think I would disagree as well. So I think we've kind of settled into that aspect. And I thought of that because you asked about trolls. I think trolls, bitterness, haters, these sorts of things. Now I hate to quote Joe Rogan, but he says those people are losers. In that LeBron James isn't a troll. He's not sitting around hating on people's accomplishments. I'm actually a big MMA fan. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu personally and love watching the fighters fight. But the fans on that, the amount of hate that they give, calling people weak, calling them losers, this and that. People who are 250 pounds, who are professional athletes, who could kill everyone except 50 people in the world. So they're like the 50th in the world, and this fan's calling them a loser. And I think that's just from this perversion of watching, in that if you're busy living your own life, if you're busy building up your own body, building your own products, writing your own books, even you guys hosting your own shows, gathering artists together, those sorts of things, if you don't have that aspect, it can spiral into this just kind of critical mindset. I actually had a group of friends back in this new place that we moved in, and they were great people, but it started to settle into this thing where if we were meeting with this one couple, we would talk about the other 2 couples. And if we were meeting with this couple, we would talk about the others. And I tried to speak up, and I was just like, can we talk about something else? Like, I like these people. I like hanging out with them. It's even fun to talk about them. Yeah. But you can't only talk about the other people, because eventually it'll cycle into, you'll find something to be upset about. Everyone has flaws. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone does something too much than they should. And if you focus too much energy and attention on it, eventually you'll find those things. There's a beaker beeping in the background. Let me reset something. You guys talk. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I love that too, because I think that's true. Like, you hyper focus on something, and no one's perfect. Right. Like, there is no one that's perfect. Everyone has their flaws, and if you search for them, you'll find them.
Well, speaking of imperfect people, Funface comes to mind.
Get the fuck out of here.
And Jared.
Jared.
Yeah, a couple of extremely imperfect people.
Oh my God.
But
wow.
Funface brought up a good point, and I want to wait for the professor to get back. If you guys are just tuning in, the professor is calling us from the seed bank in Antarctica via satellite phone. Yeah. He is there as security for the seed bank. I think
someone's trying to break in.
Maybe someone was trying to. There's a lot of issue with polar bears up there too. But I want to make a point from the troll box that
you watching that?
Someone that Funface brought up. Not all trolls necessarily are doing what we're saying. It's not. There are actually some trolls out there that do what they do, I think, to make us question ourselves, and perhaps it's more of a philosophical type of trolling.
Oh, a philosophical troll.
You know what I mean?
I know one of those.
I think there's different degrees, and maybe perhaps that's what Funface was talking about, but who knows, because Funface lives in a deep, dark basement, and is only allowed the internet for like 30 minutes a day from its keeper.
That's not true.
I don't know if we'll ever really get to hear from.
We let Funface have phone privileges often in our basement.
Well, we have Funface
Yes.
in our basement. Oh shit, that's probably the problem. Maybe time to
No, we'll never let him
get
go.
rid of him.
No.
All right. So you're back. What were we talking about?
Yeah, you've lost focus now, huh?
Yeah, I do that very easily.
Yeah.
People live in their own lives rather than just watching others.
You know, I know what it was. Okay, so my friend and I used to, we would have to take road trips. We both worked for my parents at the time, and we would have to go do shows. We would have to go do beauty shows. And I'm getting distracted.
Did you lose it again?
No, I'm getting distracted because I feel the need to explain what the hell I mean by doing beauty shows.
Just fast forward.
Okay, but I'm going to fast forward, okay? We used to go to conventions that were for the fucking beauty
Yuki
industry.
used to be beautiful.
Anyway, and we'd have a long road trip. We would be driving, and literally all we would do was talk about our friends. And we'd be like, oh, this guy, oh my God, is so funny when he does this, but God, he's so stupid when he does that. And we would just go through our list of friends, and it wasn't like on purpose, like this is what was our intention. It's just what we did, and it was fun, you know? And I think I'm just adding to what the professor is saying. It's fun to talk about people, and it's fun to laugh at others. It makes you feel better about yourself.
My goodness.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's the old thing of people love a train wreck. You know what I mean? People love watching, things, and maybe that's it. I don't know.
I'm with you on this, and I think for me, it's a matter of ratios. Yeah, I love talking about my friends and reminiscing, and even poking fun and this and that. But you want to sprinkle in some talk about events, some talk about ideas, these sorts of things. They're healthy for the mind.
And that is why I love talking to you.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I talk to you, I just feel happy afterwards. I feel, it's like you're just sitting there you're just talking to this guy all day. You need to sprinkle in.
Could you imagine being stuck with this? I'm not going to shy away from saying that I am a lunatic. Like I'm crazy. Like I have some issues. I get manic at times. I could be extremely creative, but then I could go into a dark depression, overwhelming anxiety, blah blah blah, that bullshit. But I think that the key here, guys, is to be more balanced in your life. Don't get sucked into technology too terribly much and the social media and blah blah blah.
Really,
enjoy nature, enjoy your family, if you have some. If you don't have a family, maybe that's why you're on Twitter trolling people, because maybe you need to get out of the house and go find some friends. But I liked what we discussed here. I'm happy with it. Professor, what's the next step in the thing there with the seed bank? Are you guys happy with your collection of seeds? Do you feel like you need more? Are there more seeds that need to be discovered? What's next for the seed bank up there in Antarctica?
We're doing all right. I mean, really, the main goal is preservation. If there were to be some issue where we lost the record of some of these seeds, that we could start over with this. Also, we work with a lot of universities who can borrow or get samples from some of these seeds for lab testing and this and that. So we're doing well. Overall, I'm a free market guy. So if there's a cause that you believe in, support them. We don't need the government. Do it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think being self-sufficient and not being too dependent on others is extremely important. That's kind of the message we're maybe trying to put out here to you guys, anybody that's listening, is figure out how to do shit on your own, because once you become dependent on others and large organizations, groups, governments, that kind of thing, you become a servant perhaps of them. I don't know if that makes sense, but it kind of does. And I think we need to be able to be self-sufficient and learn the traits and tricks and things to survive, and so that our families survive, and we can continue doing whatever the hell it is that we're doing here, which no one really knows. I guess we're just living, right? We're just existing. We're just I say this all the time. We're just bugs on a blue orb flying through space. We don't know what the hell our purpose is, but for some reason, we get up every day and we continue doing it. And I think we're happy and we're content doing it, whatever it is. But
I don't know. I don't think everyone is happy and content, and I don't think that everyone knows their purpose, and I think that your purpose happens to change throughout your life.
I mean, as a whole, as a species, obviously we're happy and content. I don't mean each individual bug, but I mean as a colony, as a whole,
Are we
want to propel this thing that we've created, this colony, onward. Now there's individual little bugs, little ants that have issues and they want to fuck things up. But as a whole, as a colony, we want to do whatever it is that we're doing.
I disagree. I think as a whole and as a colony, we're fucking things up, and there's small little groups of people who want to propel things and get things going well. That's my personal opinion.
Well, being a female, that means that you're wrong. Moving on. Back me up, Professor.
You're on your own. Good luck.
Yeah. Get out of here.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Let me play some little outro. Professor, before we leave, is there anything you want to shout out? Do you want to tell anything?
I don't want to go.
No, we can't do this all day. We got to save the world, okay?
Yeah, I can play an outro song for you as well if you'd like.
Let's do it. I love it.
Don't take away my stimulating conversation.
I'm here, honey. Don't worry.
No, that's the point.
I'm here.
All right, how are the levels
Beautiful.
over here today?
Gorgeous.
Sound okay? Too loud? Blow your ears off?
Guitars, give me a quick little. You're good. You're great. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Yes.
You're good.
All right, let's kick it off.
Yay.
I think I'm in a Johnny Cash mood today because, I'm always in a Johnny Cash mood.
I love Johnny Cash.
10 years ago, on a cold, dark night, someone was found in the town hall light. There were few at the scene, but they all agreed a man who fled looked an awful lot like me. She walks these hills with a long black veil. She visits home when the night winds away. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows. Little old me. Well, the judge said, son, what is your alibi if you were somewhere else? Well, you don't gotta die. But I spoke not a word, though it meant my life, for I've been in the arms of my also best friend's wife. She walks these hills with a long black veil. She visits my window when the night winds wail. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. The scaffold was high, and he turned at Enid. She strolled through the crowd, but she shed not a tear. But sometimes at night, when the cold wind blows, she walks by my grave. She cries, oh my bones. She walks these hills with a long black veil. She visits my window when the night winds wail. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your time down in America. It's freezing up here.
Yay!
Yes. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thanks everybody for watching. This was another episode of Euclid and Oaks Morning Coffee. Thanks to our guest today, the professor, inventor of AI 8-Ball. You can follow him on Twitter.
John B. DeVoe.
And fantastic. No words. That was beautiful.
Yay.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your life if we don't see you again, because like I always say, a meteor could literally come in and crash and wipe all this out.
Well, I'm happy right now, so I can go like that.
So enjoy life, enjoy the people you have in it, and learn how to do things. And hey, here's some advice: learn to play guitar. All right, guys. Thanks, Professor. Everyone say goodbye.
I don't want to.
I appreciate it. You're beautiful people. Have me on anytime.
All right.
Please.
Bye-bye, everybody. And hang out. Don't
Come
leave. I'm going to just say something to you after the show. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.